Hello everyone, welcome to Ed Puzzle on Parashat Masei. Now, it's wonderful to have these young men going into 7th grade with us. They come learn Torah every single day with us, so it's really wonderful to have guests in today's Ed Puzzle. So, in Parashat Masei, which is many years read together with Parashat Matot, which this year it is going to be read together. So, Masei means the travels. And the Pesukim describe the 42 travels of Bnei Yisrael. That means when Bnei Yisrael left Mitzrayim, they would travel from stop to stop. And how did they know when they were supposed to stop traveling? The cloud. So the cloud would rest on the Mishkan, they knew to stop. When the cloud would rise up, then they knew it was time to travel. But there were 42 travels. So the Pasuk says, and Moshe writes down their travels. The rabbis say a fascinating idea here, just a lesson for life, is just like Bnei Yisrael have 42 travels in the desert, also us in life we have many travels. First you go to elementary school, then you go to high school, then you go to, you might learn Torah, go to Israel, or then you go to work, and everyone has their travels, and they get married, everyone has their travels in life, and the goal of life is to make the best at every stop that you make in life. Really in school itself, you go 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, and at every stop, the goal is to do the best you could, because there are going to be stops in life, and the key is once you go to the next stop, you never go back to the previous stop. Because once you're in high school, you don't have an opportunity to go back to elementary school anymore. You lost your chance. I look back, I say, I missed so many opportunities in life. So take advantage of your opportunities. That's the lesson of the stop. Every stop in life is an opportunity to be great. So it says, Bnei Yisrael left Ramesses was in Mitzrayim. They left on Bachodesh Harishon in Nisan, the 15th. This is when they left Mitzrayim. And they left Biyad Ramah with very, very proud. And it talks about Makat al-Chorot, it's literally going back, and then it talks about all of their travels. They left Ramesses, they went to Sukkot. They went from Sukkot to Etam. They went from Etam to Piahirot. They went from Piahirot to Mara. So it literally goes on, and we're not going to go through every one of their steps, but it ends when they finally arrive in Arvot Moab. Now Arvot Moab is the flatlands of Moab, which that's where Balak was. Balak was the king of Moab. And they're going to cross from Arvot Moab, they're going to cross the Yarden into Eretz Yisrael. Which city do they get to first when they come into Eretz Yisrael? It's the first war. So they cross the Yarden, they get to the city with the big wall. The city with the big wall? City of, starts with the Yud. City of Yericho, beautiful. So that's the city with the big wall. So they cross right over there by Arvot Moab. So Moshe commands them. Now Hashem tells Bnei Yisrael. Now again, this is the last parasha that Hashem's actually talking to Bnei Yisrael, because the whole Sefer Devarim is going to be Moshe's speech to the people. So Hashem tells Moshe, when you go into Eretz Yisrael, I want you to know that you have to drive out the people who live in the land. Now this is important. All the Canaanim who live in the land, you have to kick them out. Now I want to clarify. There's a midrash that says that there were 3 options that they sent a letter into Eretz Yisrael, because the land belonged to us, so there were Canaanim living in the land, really more than the Canaanim, the 7 nations. But they sent them a message like this: you have 3 options. Either you leave, either you stay and resolve not to worship Avodah Zarah, to live as a ger toshav, not a real Jew, but you don't worship Avodah Zarah, you follow the Sheva Mitzvot, and Noah. And number 3 is, or if you want to stay, then we fight you. So he says that the people who decide to stay and fight, make sure you destroy them. Now the reason is because if you don't destroy them, they're going to stay, they're going to have their idols, and eventually you're going to worship idols. And that actually happened. That Bnei Yisrael they didn't kick out all of the enemies. That's the beginning of Sefer Shofetim. And what happens is that they ends up being a thorn in their sides, like the Pasuk says. So he says, make sure you kick them out, make sure you wipe out their idols, and then that's you inherit the land. And if you don't, they're going to be a thorn in your side. Now the Pasuk says, how do you know which Shevet gets what piece of land? So they would do a Goral. A Goral is a lottery. So that's when Moshe is giving them instructions on how to get into Eretz Yisrael. Now the next thing is Hashem tells Moshe to tell Bnei Yisrael the borders of Eretz Yisrael. Now obviously the 4 borders is north, east, south, west. What's the western border of Eretz Yisrael? You see over here is the Mediterranean Sea. That's the easiest border. It's all along, all the way down is the Mediterranean Sea. If anyone ever went to the beach in Eretz Yisrael, so they know that's the Mediterranean Sea. Unless you go to the other side, you go to the Kinneret. But then the Pesukim tell us all the borders. So the Pasuk says that the southern border was Midbar Sin, right by Edom. And it tells us, you go to this, and then you go to the east, and then you go to the north. So it tells us literally the borders of Eretz Israel, and it's important to know the borders of Eretz Israel because you have to know Eretz Israel has special halachot. For example, things that are grown in Eretz Israel is chayav and terumah, maaser, shemitah, bikurim. Shanes is even outside of Israel, but things of the land is only in Eretz Israel, and you have to know all those halachot. So the Pesukim delineate the borders of Eretz Israel. Now, at the end of this paragraph, it says, and by the way, the 2.5 tribes decided to go outside of Eretz Israel, Reuven, Gad, and half of Masei and Menashe, like we mentioned in the previous parasha. Now, Hashem tells Moshe, these are the names of the people who are going to lead each shevet into their land. Now he says, for example, Yehuda is going to be Kalev for Binyamin, different people. It goes one after another. So these are going to be the ones who lead their people into the land. Now the next part of the parasha is every shevet is going to have a piece of land in Eretz Israel. However, Shevet Levi is not going to have a piece of land. But in every shevet is going to be cities of Levi'im. Now cities of Levi'im, there were 42 cities of Levi'im plus 6 Are Miklat. Now an Ir Miklat is someone who kills by mistake. They have to run to an Ir Miklat and they have to remain there. How long? Until the Kohen Gadol dies. So now why someone who kills by mistake has to remain there till the Kohen Gadol dies? Because they weren't careful enough. So they have to go to this place. Now these places were the cities of the Levi'im. Now the Pesukim talk about cities of Levi'im where there was a city, there was an open area outside the city called a Migrash, and then there were fields all the way around. But Levi'im did not have a piece of land, like Shimon had a piece of land, Yehuda had a piece of land, Yisachar had a piece of land, Zebulun had a piece of land. Where was Zebulun's land? They were by the water, because they were the fishermen. But Levi'im had 42 cities all around. Now the reason why Levi'im had cities all the way around, they were the teachers of the people. So therefore they were like the rabbis, the Hachamim, therefore they had to be in every city.
Binyamin got the Bet HaMikdash.
Binyamin got the Bet HaMikdash, yes.
But the Levi'im didn't do the Hachada'iyam, so I feel like they should get the biggest.
Right, but they had to be all around because they had to be all with the people. And their job wasn't to be farmers, they just had to have a place to live. Their job was to serve in the Bet HaMikdash. Now, like we said, the Pesukim talk about the 6 cities of the Levi'im where there's an Ir Miklat. Ir Miklat is for somebody who killed by mistake. Now the next part of the parasha talks about the story of Tzilofchad. Now we spoke about this in Parashat Pinechas, but Tzilofchad had a man named Tzilofchad. He died. He had 5 daughters, and his daughters came to Moshe and they complained, why should we not have a land? Because we're girls. And they got their piece of land, and however, there was a condition. The condition was they're not allowed to marry outside of their tribe, of their shevet. They were from Shevet Menashe, they're not allowed to marry outside. The reason is because if they marry outside, then their husband will get their piece of land, and it's going to be on another shevet. So you could get the piece of land, but you have to stay with your shevet. And Menashe. And that's actually what happened. And the Pasuk says, these are the mitzvot that Hashem commanded Moshe, Be'arvot Moab, like we said in the flatlands of Moab, Al Yarden Yerecho, by the Jordan River, by the Yarden, right by Yericho, because right now they're ready. This is literally where Bnei Yisrael are ready. They're going to cross the Yarden, they're going to go into Yericho. When Parashat Masei ends, even though we're like, wait, we have like many more parashiot, but like we said, the whole Sefer Devarim is 136-day speech of Moshe Rabbeinu, so this is really where it's over. This is the commands of Hashem are over in Parashat Masei. Now they're ready to go into Eretz Israel. He told them all the mitzvot they need. Now they're just going to hear a 36-day speech of Moshe, who's going to give them advice. He's going to tell them, remind them of some of the mitzvot, and then they're going to cross into Eretz Israel, ultimately end to get Eretz Israel. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.